Namaste and good afternoon. Welcome to the Facebook Live sessions presented by Apollo Hospitals. This is Dr. Srinidhi Chidambaram. I do hope you are enjoying our Facebook Live sessions that have been conceptualized to give you factual information straight from our top experts. And we present to you authentic details so that you don't get confused and misled by the host of social media myths and misinformation. Though winter is harsher only in some parts of India, generally the damp and the cooler weather does lead to a host of discomfort and health conditions and some diseases as well. So, all through this month, we have been discussing the various health issues of the winter season. And one of the most serious consequences to our health, which is caused by air pollution and winter, is a dangerous combination. Polluted air is a public health hazard with many risks of cardiovascular and respiratory and so many other complications and diseases, to name a few. Scientists have also been saying that the public loss of life expectancy caused by air pollution is higher than even some of the known risk factors. As you all know, you must have read that there are several pollutants that can give rise to health complications. They can even combine and form some kind of a toxic soup, and they may include many pollutants like sulfur dioxide or nitrogen dioxide, PM 2.5, PM 10, ozone. And as you know, they're largely from vehicles or power plants or industries or garbage burning, crop burning, diesel generators, many sources. But you may be wondering, why do these pollutants, I mean, they're there all the time throughout the year. So why are they more severe, and why do they attack, why do they cause health complications more in the winter? And this is what the doctor is going to tell us. But basically, it's also a weather phenomenon because during summer, the lowest layer of the atmosphere is warmer and lighter as compared to winter. So the air in summer is lighter, rising upwards, taking all the pollutants with it. Whereas in winter, the air gets cooler and denser and near the atmosphere of the earth. So the warm air traps the cool air and forms some kind of an atmospheric lid. And that causes a phenomenon called inversion. So the pollutants get trapped, which is why they remain in the atmosphere for a longer time. So it's very important to know about this important environmental health hazard of air pollution and how we can ensure that we can remain safe and healthy. To give us valuable insights on this, I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Debraj Jash, who is a senior pulmonologist working at Apollo Hospitals, Kolkata, with over 11 years of experience in his field. With a qualification of MD, DNB in pulmonology, DM in pulmonology, and MRCP, SCE in respiratory medicine, European diploma in adult respiratory medicine, and also a gold medalist in the DM exam in pulmonary and critical care in India. His area of expertise is pulmonary critical care, airway diseases, interventional pulmonology, ECMO, and also is a specialist in sleep and in critical care and interventional pulmonology. He's also a highly published author with over 40 publications in indexed journals, and also a recipient of awards for 2 years continuously at the annual Congress for the ERS annual Congress in 2013 and 14. He's a member of the Indian Medical Association, Association of Physicians of India, European Society of Intensive Care Medicine, Asia Pacific Society of Respirology, and many other such organizations. Dr. Jash, welcome to our session, and we look forward to a wonderful discussion with you on this complicated topic of air pollution and how to manage to live healthy in this atmosphere.
Good afternoon, Dr. Srinidhi. Now, to talk about air pollution in a span of 10 minutes, all you know is very difficult because it's such a vast topic and you cannot summarize air pollution. Now, let me introduce what do you mean by pollution. So, pollution means introduction of any substances which is harmful or poisonous to the human being as well as to the animal being. Now, this is a crude term. So you cannot just say which is harmful or poisonous, to what extent it is poisonous, to what extent it is harmful. Now we can broadly divide the air pollution into outdoor air pollution as well as indoor air pollution. Now globally, just before, just 2 years back, if we consider 8 million deaths have been contributed to the air pollution indirectly, because it is very difficult to contribute the deaths to the air pollution directly. And among that, a significant proportion has been contributed by indoor air pollution, almost 40 to 45%, which we are unaware of. Today, I want to highlight, or I want to stress on the indoor air pollution, because we all are talking about the outdoor air pollution, the air quality indexes, which we are every day talking about, but we forget to mention about the indoor air pollution, and which is particularly important in the months of winter when all the doors and all the windows are shut down. Okay, so the indoor air pollution also contributes to a significant extent. Now the components of the air pollution, all the carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, nitric oxide, particulate matter, which everyone is talking nowadays, particulate matter, the benzopyrenes, benzene, this everyone is aware of. Now, how can we cut down, and what are the consequences of air pollution? The consequences of air pollution have a two effect. One is the direct effect, such as that what diseases they are contributing. The most important, as we all know, is the respiratory diseases. Respiratory diseases, if the concentration of air pollutants are that much, it may affect the normal human being on a short-term basis, and on long-term basis, it can contribute to any human being with pre-existing lung diseases or without pre-existing lung disease. So a person with asthma, COPD, or any lung disease, especially in the post-COVID era, when the significant population of our country has been affected with the COVID, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they are, suppose a person of COVID has got 30% of the lung fibrosis. Now, with a 70% lung which is being left, if he encounters that much amount of pollutants every day, it is expected with a small pneumonia, he will get hospitalized, or he will get repeated attack of exacerbation. So the effect of pollutant is being more emphasized nowadays, especially on the post-COVID era. But apart from the pulmonary diseases, it also affects the cardiovascular systems, it affects the neurological system. Even in some of the individual, it affects and it causes cataract also, because of exposure of eye, especially those without wearing the specs. Now, the another important thing which I want to emphasize is that uh, regarding the indoor air pollution. Now, although the biomass fuels have been more or less nowadays has been replaced by most of the household nowadays have stoves, or most of the household nowadays have electric combustion. So the biomass fuel which were previously associated with indoor air pollution, especially in the rural setting, in urban setting, it has been taken care of. But the problem is that even in indoor air pollution setting, suppose a person who works in a very polluted atmosphere, he comes back home, there is a carpet, and he just took off his cloth, and sometimes we used to just rub up the cloths and the pollutants got accumulated in the carpet. So this is what we called as second hand air pollution, third hand air pollution. This all gets contributed. And the third most important thing which I want to emphasize is that regarding the vehicles which we use, or which the government although is trying to convert, we all know in Delhi all have been converted into the LPG. They are trying to take out the old vehicles, but still we as a public we need to incorporate. We just cannot give everything in the hands of the government. If we ourselves are not aware of what is happening, if we can not take care of our own health, then government alone will not be able to take care of. We should report ourselves while we are having those old vehicles, we should replace with the new vehicles. And there should be a government law regarding the, suppose if you take the name of Singapore, there is a strict law who can buy the cars. The taxation has been increased to that much extent so that people are encouraged to use the public vehicles. So we need to cut down in, we all know in our capital state, there has been a try to cut down by odd even policy. So we need to cut down, because there are something which we can cut down and there are something which can cut down. In an industrial setting, it is very difficult to cut down the industrial air pollution, because you just cannot stop the industrial. But suppose the mobile vehicles which are in our hands, in those cases we can cut down the pollution. Second is the good effect which we will take about the COVID. Nowadays we are wearing the mask. So mask is a very important component against the air pollution. Any quality of mask in any individual, it protects the lungs to some extent, because if we take about the particulate matter, it has some particular sizes. So the particulate matter which is of large size can be taken up by the mask. The small size particulate matter cannot be taken care of, but the large size particulate matter can be taken care of by the mask. So we should wear mask not only to give ourselves protection against the COVID-19, but also to give protection against the air pollution, which we previously don't. Nowadays, fortunately, because of the COVID, although we are lacking the habit of mask of late for last 2-3 months, because the number of the COVID has come down, but we should not only use it for the COVID, but also use it for the pollution purposes. Now coming to the most important point, which nowadays everyone is talking about, is regarding the corpse residual burning, all those things, and especially in the northern part of our country. Now this has to be taken care of by the government, because yet the combustion of this food crops and residue, it gives generation to significant amount of sulfur dioxide and the nitrogen dioxide, as well as benzopyrene, these kind of things, which are not only detrimental on a short-term basis to the respiratory system or cardiovascular, these are also potentially carcinogenic. A long-term exposure to these substances, these are all group A carcinogens. We used to classify the carcinogens into 4 categories. So these are group A carcinogens, those polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons or benzopyrenes. So we need to be very strict, and we need to formulate a policy such as the benefit of farmers can be taken care of, as well as the individual, as a family, as a society was, we can take care of these things. So in a nutshell, air pollution can only be fought off by, and also we need to plant trees, because we all know the more there is greenery, the more there will be, the less there will be the carbon dioxide, less there will be the ozone effect everyone nowadays is talking about. So we cannot just put everything on the hand of the government. We need to be, as a society, we need to stand up. We need to discuss about air pollution. And although I will still say the encouraging things, that people are getting more aware of the things, although the air quality index are still not acceptable. 14 out of the 20 most polluted cities of the world still are within our country. So let's hope for the best.
Yes, doctor. So you've given us a very broad overview about air pollution and what are the causes and how we can play a role. Can we talk a little more about how it affects our health? What are the short-term and what are the long-term complications? Like, I mean, you did touch upon some of the lung complications, but could you give us a little more detail?
The short-term complications, it depends on the high concentration, low concentration. High concentration, it causes burning of the eyes, burning sensation in the eyes, irritation in the throat, cough, more and more frequent exacerbation of cough and cold, shortness of breath. Regarding the diseases, it leads to chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. The 15% of the patients of chronic bronchitis and COPD are due to indoor air pollution, both outdoor as well as indoor. So COPD, asthma, cardiovascular diseases, any kind of hypertension, ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease means the circulation of the coronary blood flow is reduced for the general public. So the stroke, heart attack, which we used to talk about. Regarding the cerebrovascular system or regarding the brain, the short-term effect is definitely, it leads to the more chances of stroke. On long term, it also leads to decrease in the cognitive and neurobehavioral incidence. Suppose a person who is exposed to such an amount of pollution, he gets angry, he gets restless. So these are the effects also which we used to see. Over the eye, it leads to cataract due to the generation of the free radicals. It decreases the overall immune system of the body. The free radical scavenging system is very important in defense against any kind of infection. So the free radical scavenging system is hampered. So the chances of getting all kind of infections are increased. So this is why nowadays everyone is talking about the vitamin supplementation and all those things to boost up the immunity, especially in overtly polluted states. So these are the short-term and long-term effects directly attributed to the air pollution. And another thing, these are all related to mortality, but we should also consider the morbidity. Suppose a person who gets affected with the cough cold, who gets an acute attack of asthma or COPD, now he is unable to join the office. So the disease associated life year or the days which has been lost due to the diseases, we should take it into account. Almost 70,000 dailies have been lost directly or indirectly due to the air pollution. So the we are all not we should not talk only about the mortality due to the disease. We should also discuss about the morbidity due to the disease, and the dailies which have been lost. It directly affects the economics of the country as well.
What about the carcinogenic potential of air pollutants? I mean, there have been some studies which have also linked certain other cancers apart from lung cancer, even the non-Hodgkin's lymphomas and breast.
Cell cancer.
So, what would you like to tell about that?
As I already told you, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, the benzopyrines, or the organic combustion, the substances which has been generated, they all have carcinogenic effect, and they all are group A carcinogen. The most common is lung cancer, but all the cancers, starting from the laryngeal cancer, as it is directly going inside the airway, the oral cavity cancer, the nasopharyngeal carcinoma, the non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which you already told about, the CA urinary bladder is very commonly associated with the polluted states. So CA urinary bladder, the leiomyosarcoma, CA cervix, all these are associated, but most commonly the airways, the CA lung, CA larynx, CA nasopharynx, so all are associated with the air pollution directly or indirectly.
What are the effects of these air pollutants on children? Because now, on one hand, we are also telling children that there is a lot of obesity, so you must go outdoors, you must play, and all that. But meanwhile, we also have this issue of air pollution. So, could you tell us a little more about how exactly it affects children and what we can do to kind of balance it?
You raised a very valid point regarding the children. Especially, I will start from the pregnancy. So when the pregnancy period, we used to encourage the pregnant women to have a walk around. Now the exposure to pollutants leads to in vitro or in utero growth retardation. So there is a growth retardation, the chances of getting preterm births, chances of getting multiple pregnancy related complications, preeclampsia, pregnancy related hypertension, these are all, the percentage are significantly much more in cases of in utero complications. Now going to the postpartum or when the child is grown up, it leads to the growth decline. It leads to growth decline as well as the intrauterine, sorry, it leads to growth retardation. It leads to cognitive dysfunction. It leads to more aggressive behavior of the child, attention seeking hyperkinetic disorders. These are the ADHD, which you used to call. Now, these are all. Second, the most important thing is that the infective ability or the immune system of the child is hampered. So the chances of getting multiple infections from a childhood age are much more. So it leads on a long-term basis to asthma. Second, the another most important thing is that long-term exposure of the pollutants to the child also leads to a significant amount of hematological abnormality. It leads to increase in the RBC, or it leads to polycythemia, which we all know. But the most important is the psychological consequences. If we cannot keep in the COVID, we are seeing that the children are almost confined to home for almost 1.5 years. So we cannot keep them at home for such a prolonged period of time. We all know they will develop multiple psychological as well as psychiatric complications. They are all nowadays taking help of the parents. Are most of the parents nowadays are also they are not unlike 10 or 20 years back. They all are working women. So we need to make them. So if we cannot make our environment children friendly, so the long term future, what will happen after 20 years, the situation will be more grave, no?
Yes, it will. It certainly will. Um, what about older people, as in like even the elderly, the same issue, like, many of them like to, take a morning walk. And one has heard that, if there is severe air pollution in the mornings, early morning exercise and outdoor walk is not advisable. Is that correct, doctor?
Yes, absolutely, it is correct. In winter months, we all used to tell our patients of COPD, particularly the COPD and asthma patients, not to have. Why? Because we have found in this all the studies that in the morning, due to the floating of the air or due to the velocity of the air, the concentration of pollutants in the ground level are much more in the early morning or late morning because of the smog effect or because of the fog effect, particularly in northern part of the country, are much more. So the chances of getting exposed to the pollutants are also much more. Second, any disease or any respiratory disease patients, they should avoid cold. So the chances of getting cold related, because cold is a common allergen, we all used to forget that. We all, although we all like winter months, but the cold is a common allergen also. The percentage of pollens or percentage of house dust mite, all those things are much more in the winter months. So chances of getting affected due to cold are also much more during, if you have a morning walk around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So if they want to go outside, we all encourage to have a walk around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock when the sun is bright and when the chances of getting affected due to the pollutants are much less. And again, regarding the evening walk, we also used to advise them to avoid the evening walk because the morning and evening, the scenario are more or less same regarding the pollutants and regarding the and you also already advised previously the effect of why that floats or why those smog and fog, these are things. So we used to encourage them to avoid the morning as well as evening walks, especially elderly individuals.
Absolutely. What about COVID-19? Like, is it that, the COVID-19 outcomes or the way it affects the lungs can be worse if there is already damage done to the lungs by air pollution?
Now, COVID-19 is the most important thing because you all know that because of the severe, just because of the number in all parts of the country, because of the sheer number, I don't think any disease has that many number of patients compared to the COVID-19. Now, suppose a person is not affected with COVID-19, that I will discuss initially. And second part, a person who is affected with COVID-19. Now, a person who is not affected with COVID-19, if due to the exposure to that much amount of pollution, if his lung is already been affected to that extent, so that all the lung volumes are reduced and the infective or to fight against the infection is already compromised, or already if he is having multiple comorbidities, then we all know that effect of COVID-19 on a compromised lung or individual with multiple comorbidities is much more profound compared to those without any comorbidities. So that if a person without COVID-19 who is living in such a polluted state, the effect of the COVID-19 on that individual will be much more. We all know. And second, now if a person has been affected with COVID-19, now he recovered. We all know steroid is a very important drug against COVID-19. So the steroid decreases. It is beneficial for the COVID lung. It is beneficial for the COVID fibrosis. But at the same, we all know steroid has many side effects. It decreases the immune capacity of the body to fight with the diseases. So the chances of getting infections are much more in post-COVID patients. Second, in post-COVID, everyone used to develop in severe COVID some kind of fibrosis. He may have 50, 40, 30, 20. So a person who has got 100% lung, if he develops some kind of pneumonia of 10%, so 90% of the lung will be healthy. He will not be affected to that extent. But in a COVID patient whose lung already has been fibrosed to 30-40%, even a 10% decline in the lung function or even a 10% decline in the FEV1 or APC will lead to serious consequences. So the COVID and the air pollution are directly related. It is not indirectly related. The consequences of air pollution on COVID individuals is more directly related rather than the effect on the normal population. So we should be more conscious of the air pollution, especially when we are talking about this Omicron and all those things. We should get ourselves ready. We had a time of 1.5 years. We almost all the hospitals, ventilators, oxygen, we took care of all those things. In the second wave we found that all in spite of all the, but at the same time we should also shift our focus to the air pollution, because now everything has been opened up.
Yes, absolutely. Also, we already spoke about the other diseases, but you were talking a little bit about the neurological aspects, as in the dementia and such things. So can we talk a little more about the specific, because one would never associate when we say air pollution, it's usually the lungs or the cancers. So could you explain to our viewers a little
These
bit?
are all indirect effects. These are all indirect effects. A person, suppose a person with dementia or Parkinson's disease or poor cognitive function has come to a neurologist chamber. He or she will not never tell the patient or relatives that this is due to air pollution. It is one of the contributing factors. All the studies which has been done, these are all randomized controlled trials to see what is the percentage effect. It is not that air pollution causes dementia, but air pollution is a contributory factor, or air pollution is a predisposing factor for the dementia. These are all have been published in all the randomized controlled trials throughout the world. It is not directly related like the respiratory or the cardiovascular diseases, but these are all indirect, and it will have many of the individuals are also believe that it decreases the sexual function in the individual. So these are all indirect. It decreases the sperm motility. It increases the chances of infertility. So these are all indirect consequences. The doctors will not directly tell that this is due to air pollution, but this has been found worldwide over the 30-40 years through all the trials and all those studies.
Absolutely. So final words from you, Doctor, on what people, apart from, of course, we said about the masks, and we have also spoken about the trees and the public awareness. So anything else that, that people must remember, because people never think about the air pollution because they're always concerned about infections and other heart diseases and diabetes. So one doesn't really consider it. So what would be the single most important thing that you think people should remember?
To me, the most important thing which is in my hand is smoking. I should encourage everyone to quit smoking, because smoking is one of the important components of air pollution. We all discussed about the first hand smoking, but the second hand and the third hand smoking, the passive smoking, a person smokes, the family members who is directly or indirectly exposed. Smoking is the most important component of indoor air pollution. A person who has smoked, the second person who is in active vicinity, he gets passively smoked. The smoking particles deposited in your clothes or in your blazers or in the carpets in the home, which leads to third hand exposure smoking. So we should always focus about what is in our hand. Government will do their job. Government will focus. There will be some national as well as international formulations. So we all know about the international conferences. Everyone nowadays is talking about the environment. But we should, what in our hand? In our hand, we have smoking. We should all replace the vehicles with the old vehicles which we ourselves are aware of. We should try to plant at least one tree in our household vicinity, or if possible we have lands, then we should promote greenery. We should not cut trees for our mere commercial benefit. So these are the things which is in our hand. We should not blame government that it is not being done, it is not being done. What we can do, what we can incorporate or we can incorporate to the society, what we can contribute to the society, these are the things which I will request everyone.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor, for that very enlightening and very comprehensive discussion on air pollution. The session was an eye-opener not just from the health point of view, but also gave us a lot of insights on what each one of us must do to safeguard the environment and also the health of our planet and the health of ourselves and our future generations. So there is a role for every one of us to put a halt to this critical public health issue of air pollution. So start today and be part of the solution and not the pollution. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to get information about other trending healthcare topics that we have been presenting. And you can always reach out to us on our social media channels and on our websites, and always here to help you. So do reach out to us. And till we meet again, stay safe and stay healthy. See you soon. Thank you and namaste.